Then the husband tried to fetch the gun near the dressing table. Then it's whereby we started to shoot.
We raped that girl and she ended up killing that man there.
Ek het miskien die kind seer gemaak, maar nie op die manier soos wat hulle dit sê nie.
I didn't know how to control my anger, and I just fought.
The lady, she was down there just further below there near the dam. We went down, and that's when we done it.
I'm in for 35 years.
I've been sentenced for 27 years imprisonment for murder and robbery, which was committed in 1999.
I'm about to serve 32 years imprisonment for rape and murder and assaulting.
I was 17 years old. And then the other girls, we took them to their place. You see, we left with the other one. You see, and then the other one, when he wanted us to take him to his place, me, I refused, you see, because I said I'll never waste my money for nothing.
At the time when I committed the crime, okay, at that time I was 18 years old.
I strongly believe I was around about 15 to 16, something like that.
When the incident happened, I was about 16 years old.
This is Medium C section at Johannesburg Prison, nicknamed Sun City. It houses some of the country's most violent criminals, those who have robbed, raped and murdered, some while in their teens.
We don't have petty crimes here. Most of their crimes are very terrible. That's what I'm saying. It's kidnapping, it's murdering and all those kind of things, etc.
This doesn't daunt Molly, a rehabilitation worker. She believes these young men can change.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
The public are always crying out that people should be locked away and the key should be thrown away, but there's no point in that because 95% of criminals do return back to society. And unless their behavior is corrected, they're going to come back and they're going to be more victims in their lives.
Molly works for Polisa, a private organisation contracted to run workshops for juveniles inside the country's prisons.
To me, these people, they're going to be leaders. But where are they now?
You know, I want to touch up again on page 21 to see about my goals.
Police's workshop combines life skills and group counselling. It aims to give an inmate new direction to ensure they don't fall into the cracks when they leave. This despite the fact that more than 80% of prisoners reoffend after release. The longest sentence in this group is 35 years. The average age of inmates is 21.
The thing that made me get involved in crime is like I always, wanted to be known, you see, and for people to know me. That is the thing that made me to get in more in crime because I made money out of it and I didn't wait to depend on my family.
Then I started to say, okay, in order for me to move on with life and continuing with my studies, I have to get money, but how? Then something clicks in my mind. The first thing was crime because I thought it's the simplest way to make money. Only to find out I didn't know that I'm digging myself a grave because today is like I'm half dead.
Arguably, no life skills training can change a person who was a violent criminal while still a teenager. But Kalisa says they can at least try.
I certainly don't believe that everybody can be rehabilitated, and I think some people are damaged and are and always will be a threat to society.
Medium C also has a section for convicted inmates under 18. Its population is slowly swelling.
There's a serious problem when it comes to our youth. If you can go to Medium A and check those awaiting trial, it's about 1,000 something. And some of them, they're not yet sentenced. It means I still have to wait to accommodate more youth.
By last year, 16% of all prisoners in jail were between 14 and 20 years old. The numbers of youth who rob, rape and murder is increasing.
I said, actually, what is it you want to see? Then he said, I will he started pulling out a gun. When we were not pulling, he was trying to pull out a gun. Fortunately, I had a gun with me. Then I pulled out the gun. Then I shot him first.
Ek kan dit bewys dat ek nie so iets is nie. Want ek het 'n meisie gehad.
Because of the drugs, my head, I just lost my temper and I started also swearing back at the mother, you see, shouting at the mother and dragging the mother to say that I'm going to shoot the mother and I'm going to do all kinds of things with the family of them, you see.
I was arrested.
Tell me.
I'm arrested
for.
I am arrested for. I was arrested for unlicensed firearm.
I beat my girlfriend. Why?
Because he was mixing me and another boy. I was arrested for licensed firearm. I wanted to go power a person.
Why?
Because I need money. Sometimes you get maybe get 2,000, 4,000. Take the purse and the phone. Sometimes when it's not like you can get a phone. Maybe for phone and 400. You see, small money. You see. And we only rob white men, not black. Because white men they treat our grandparents not right. They didn't treat us right. And now it's time that they must feel the pain.
Get big minds.
There is confusion in South African law over what defines a juvenile. Correctional Services says it's anyone under 23. Social Welfare, which manages places of safety, says it's anyone under 18. But both departments agree on one thing: a juvenile who commits a serious offence must be locked up while awaiting trial. This is Bosasa outside Krugersdorp. It's called a youth centre, but its inhabitants are not at summer camp. They're children awaiting trial for serious and violent crimes. In South Africa, a juvenile can be tried and prosecuted for a crime, but they're assumed to lack so-called capacity. In other words, they had no intent to commit the crime. The early morning breakfast queue. These youngsters eat at around 7 a.m. They're going to court, and for most, it's neither their first nor their last time.
Now, we've started to realize that the ages are slowly going towards your 10s, your 11s, your 12s, and that is an issue for concern, but that's what we're getting.
Juvenile crime is governed by the Criminal Procedure Act and the Correctional Services Act. Juveniles can be and are tried in criminal courts. There are no formal juvenile courts, but cases involving youngsters are held in camera. And juveniles too feel the effects of slow justice. The law says a detained child must be brought before the court every 14 days. That's in theory. In reality, a place like Bosasa is a revolving door. The courts regularly send them back to the centre. Weeks of waiting can turn into months.
The fact that we're getting a daily intake says to us the system is failing, and the system starts from there.
These youngsters carry their lives in their plastic bags until the court finds them not guilty or finds them guilty and sentences them.
Now you with the firearm, tell me, when you go to court, what happens?
They hit me with their remand.
How many times have you been to court?
5 times. Now this is the 6th time.
And then you come back here every time?
Yeah?
You come back here?
I'm coming here.
How old are you?
I'm 15 years old.
And you with the beat your girlfriend, how old are you?
I am 17 years old.
And how many times did you go to court?
Maybe 15 times.
Yet they should consider themselves lucky. Bosasa is a so-called place of safety, not a prison. The law also allows for juveniles awaiting trial to be held in prison when all places of safety are full.
When they give you a remand, your heart look like you can commit suicide or something.
In an ideal world, a place of safety prevents juveniles mixing with hardened criminals, as in prison. But many of these youngsters have already been behind bars. They have the marks and manner to show for it.
Oh no, I went to Sunset Deep. It was fine for me there.
They didn't bully you?
No, I'm not. They didn't bully me because I'm not as stupid, you see. If you go to Sunset Deep, they see guys who looks like fools in their eyes. Yeah, they didn't take me as a fool because I know my story.
These are the marks of the University of Crime, as prison is called by inmates. Some are just scribbles, others are more sinister. They are the markings of prison gangs on bodies barely out of childhood. The time spent awaiting trial may be a blessing in disguise. Incarceration could provide a chance for remorse.
Wangimisa amaphoyisa maqeda ukungimisa kanjalo wangikhuthuza zangathole niks wangithatha wangifaka evenini maqeda ungifaka evenini kanjalo abangise police station esifike police station babhala ukuthi outbreak nje mina ngifuna ukuhamba ngekhaya ngifuna ukubona abazali bami bagcine kudala abazali ngifuna ukuhamba ngesikolweni.
Bosasa says the youngsters here don't sit idly in the sun. They attempt to rehabilitate them while they await trial.
Correctional service facilities are for people that have been sentenced here. And that is why we provide them with school. We insist they go to school. Because in our view, they have to live as normal a life as humanly possible.
The children at Bosasa don't fit the common perception that a violent child criminal is young, poor and black.
Ek het die aand in my bed gelê. Toe gaan ek na my meisie se kamer toe. Toe vra ek om saam met te slaap. Toe gaan ons na die afloskamer toe en toe slaap ek saam met haar. Toe ons klaar is, toe gaan sy na haar kamer toe en toe gaan ek na my kamer toe. En toe slaap ek en na so 'n paar dae en toe breek ons verhouding op. En toe vloek ek haar en toe gaan sy vir die tannie. En toe maak die huisouers se saak teen my.
We threatened them with the knife. They gave us the car and we drove off.
How did you get caught?
We had an accident with the car.
We're getting young people from all walks of life, from affluent families, from families that are run by grannies, from single mothers of single parenthood families, and we're getting from the streets.
The centre's social workers are also a sympathetic ear to the children's problems. These 3 boys are gay. They find it tough to adapt to this macho world.
They call us names. It's like they come us in touch like women. They do all funny stuff. Sometimes they even show their private stuff.
Then what do you do? What do you say?
I totally report. Yes, to the uncles. But sometimes the uncles don't help. They just like whatever. I even told the magistrate, you know what, that place of safety is not right. You report something, one day you get sodomized, they say you want it, but it's a mistake. That's why I say no. One day, even now in the rooms, they just go sit in one side, but it's no problem. But if I report, it's like they don't care. Now it's fine. Now we are really coping fine. Since we know how to clap and kick you out. Yes, now we can kick strong now. We can kick you that you even forget your name nowadays. But we are coping. The place is totally fine. Anything is. Just wish I was out, what I really wish. This is no place for me.
After the break, is prison the best place for a child criminal? Places of safety are not the same as prisons, but discipline is equally strict. This is the Walter Sisulu Centre outside Soweto. The day starts early for the youngsters awaiting trial. They may have to put in a court appearance. If not, it's a regular school day. As in prison, there's an early lockup.
Wake up! Mikey, wake up! Come, Desmond, wake up! It's not early. It's past 5 already.
There is intimidation, but as I'm saying, it requires a particular kind of person to do this work, because if you listen to all the things and you listen to their tune and stuff like that, then you see yourself in trouble. So you got to kind of like distance yourself, but also help out in the situation.
As at Bosasa, The youngsters here are not awaiting trial on petty charges, but for serious, violent crimes.
When the children do come into our centre, we don't regard them as criminals. I think our belief is that they're here for a very specific reason, and that our desire is to make sure that they've been given a second chance and can then reintegrate back into the community.
The youngsters here are no mere purse snatchers.
The ages of admission for both boys and girls would vary between 15 and 17 years. The most prevalent offences for boys at this stage would be murder, attempted murder, rape and armed robbery.
The Walter Sisulu Centre is not the final destination for the juvenile offender. They are kept here, sometimes for months at a time, until the courts decide their fate.
It is not a jail and it is not a prison. The children and youth would stay here for a period of time depending on the next court date, and then would go back to court depending on the outcomes of the court. They would either then be sent home or they would be sent to prison or to an alternative setting.
The children here don't fit the image of normal, happy youngsters. They're awaiting trial for serious offences. Many tell of a life in prison, as this prison gang insignia shows.
As a result of their circumstances, they actually lose the innocence and the naivety of being a child because they've been exposed to such harsh circumstances outside in the community. When they actually come into the Walter Sisulu Centre, they no longer come in as a child.
Muriel Stewart is the centre's night shift supervisor. She's about to go home after a long night. Odd as it may seem, she says she loves what she does, caring for child criminals.
Basically, I don't have kids of my own, and that's why I think I had a calling to this job, to take care of other people. And generally, I'm very passionate about my job. You know, I don't just do it because I'm doing it. I do it because it like comes from the bottom of my heart. Like in terms of that, it's a calling.
Arrangements. Go, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
As a challenge and not to be judgmental, I've learned, you know, I've got my own coping mechanisms in terms of that I need to accept people for who they are and not what they've did and whatever surrounding that they come from, that kind of thing.
Yet the staff take nothing for granted. Before going to the classroom across the hall, they search for weapons, as in a regular prison.
They're hardened, sometimes very uncooperative, refuse to participate in activities. And sometimes it's actually very difficult to try to reach, to get over to this child.
These boys are off to court. A lunch parcel will last them through a day of waiting and a possible remand.
Hello. I know about you.
Psychologists have different theories on what it is that drives a child to crime. Poverty, peer pressure, television even, have all been blamed. To an outsider, these mementos give all the appearance of a normal childhood. But the talk, even the walk of some of the youngsters, suggests otherwise. People fed up with rampant crime would have less sympathy.
I think I would appreciate the viewpoints of the public. Obviously, we all don't always understand the nature and the reasons why children offend. And some of the reasons why they come into the centre and the kinds of services that we offer the children would obviously change our own perceptions of what it is that they've done.
After the break, can music and words really change a child offender? There are soon to be changes to the law governing child offenders. Once signed into law, the Child Justice Bill provides for something called diversion, where life skills training and community service is the only sentence.
Diversion is obviously an integral part of the Child Justice Bill, which provides for children, for youth development, and for young people to be given second chances, and obviously to avoid their stigmatization if they would enter into the prison system.
Diversion has been hailed as a way to fast-track child offenders through the justice system, but it's very specific about who it covers. Only the public prosecutor will decide who goes on the program, and then it's only for less serious offences. It will cover young offenders like this one, who was arrested for petty theft.
I used to hang around the bed parts. They were older than me. They used just to give me a statute that I have to go somewhere you can get money. And I just went there. They took me at Spa, that side of a Spa pen, and there's a butcher the side. They taught me how to steal.
An important part of the program is mentorship, and not by more seasoned coaches in crime, as so often happens. First-time young offenders will be guided by other youngsters, those who've turned their back on crime through the program.
I've been on the street now. I got a family now. I have to look for my future. The street won't make any future for me, because I go to the street, I earn money, but you earn money while your education is being small. See, you're not getting retrained your mind. You see, only those cops, they say they are there, but you find the cops shooting my brother in the corner. They don't change their uniform, pointing guns.
When the bill becomes law, youngsters like this will have the chance to change their lives meaningfully. More so, psychologists say, than if they were locked up. Talk may be cheap, but many of the youngsters say they will change.
When she found out, she took me to court in Krugersdorp. So I started fighting with her, I also assaulted her. So she said, okay, she must bring me here so that I can change.
Do you think you will change here at Walter Sisulu Centre?
Yes.
You do think so. Thank you very much.
They've introduced the diversion system, but it's working fairly slowly because not many children are being diverted. It's like 1 or 2 or 3. And I don't know where the obstacles are. Maybe they need to look at where the obstacles are in terms of moving the children out of the system as quick as possible.
Group therapy, relaxing music, and community service will arguably do little for some, though. Those who have done more than snatch a handbag. Young offenders so violent, the public feels they should be locked away for a long time.
To me, they're very much important. We're adults, we're going to die. Who's going to lead this South Africa if all the juveniles they have to be in prison?
It may be of little comfort to their victims, but these inmates who will spend what is left of their youth behind bars say they have already changed.
I was bad, but now I'm very good.
I know I've done that, but it wasn't my intention. It's time to move on. I won't do it again.